Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkled-with-glitter.com. Welcome to my craft room. I am so excited you're here today because we are doing some disco party prep. What does that mean? I am having a disco party themed class at SBC Fest in March of 2024 with scrapbook.com. And today we're going to do all of the homework together so that when you arrive to class, you'll be completely ready to go. And we can focus on creating together rather than doing some of the prep work that can kind of take up a little bit of time. So a lot of it's die cutting and trimming and doing some card bases. You're going to see some of the products that I'm going to be using in the class, but you are not going to get any spoilers on the actual cards. I mean, you might get a little spoiler because you'll kind of see these products kind of all coming together, but we're not creating any cards today. We're just getting our die cutting done. Now, something I wanted to mention is that I have two little dogs and I love them to death and they might be walking in and out. So if they come in and you hear the pitter patter of little paws, or if they're out there and they bark a little, I apologize. But really they're in charge, not me. So, you know, we gotta go with it. So let's get right down to the desk. I'm gonna actually stay up here in the corner so that you can see me as I'm creating. I'll probably be up here for most of this video today. And we're gonna do this real time so that you can just walk through and do it with me as I'm doing it. I needed to prep for the class anyway, so it's perfect that you're here with me. So you're going to see some of the products I'm going to be working with. I have several die sets here. I have some of the scrapbook.com exclusive cardstocks, papers, specialty papers, that sort of thing. So some of this is in the kit and some of it's add-ons. So you'll actually kind of get a sneak peek and know what you kind of want to add to cart ahead of time. So this is a look at the things that I'm going to be working with today. I'm going to set some of it aside, and the first thing that we're going to do is actually create our card bases. We're creating 3 cards in the class, and so I wanted to create our card bases. Now, one way that you can kind of get away with not creating card bases is purchasing the pre-scored and cut Neenah card bases that are available exclusively at scrapbook.com. So if you want to skip this step, you'll be able to do that. Today, I have a little bit of Neenah Solar White cardstock here, and I might as well, I have to trim down anyway. We're creating 3 cards, so I might as well create 4 card bases, and then I'll have an additional one on hand. Now, I do have my scrapbook.com exclusive Gemini Junior that I'm gonna be doing all of my die cutting on today, but I'm going to set that to the side for now because we're going to use our trimmer first. We'll get our trimmer stuff done, then we can kind of move that out of the way and move on. So in order to cut an A2 size card base, I have my letter size, or 8.5 by 11 sized cardstock here. This is the heavyweight Neenah Solar White. So I'm going to put it in with the long edge in my trimmer, and I am going to trim these to 5.5. So my finished cardstock size for these will be 5.5 by 8.5. So because I have to already do a couple, 3 of these card bases, we'll just trim down 2 full cardstock sheets and we'll make 4. And then you'll have an extra one because you never know when you might mess up, right? So I'm going to keep the trimmer close at hand because we're going to use that here in just a moment again. But I'll bring in my scoring board here, and I have a bone folder, and we're going to look at 4 1/4. I actually have mine marked on my scoreboard so that I can kind of tell right at glance where I'm going for. I have a few of my most used scoring measurements there. I just did that with like a permanent Sharpie marker, and it will come off if you wanted to scrub it off with some rubbing alcohol. But I like having them there. It just kind of is helpful to me. So we're just going to quickly score all of these pieces at 4 1/4. And then when we fold these in half, those will create our A2 size card bases. So I'll just show you. Also, just so you know, if you ever want a really nice card base, scoring, highly recommend it. So this is going to be our finished size card. It's 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So I'm going to keep some of my card class stuff sorted out by class. And so I have these scrapbook.com zipper pouches, which are so great. They're nice and durable, heavy duty. And so what I can do is just place one of these card bases in each of my class pouches. And that way, when I go to create on class day, we will be ready to go and sorted by class or by card project. So I'm going to just kind of keep all of my stuff separate. And these A2 card bases just like barely perfectly fit in there. If that's something you can say, barely perfectly fit. I'm going to slide the other one just in there. And then I can kind of set these aside to the side as I'm working. Now, we need I do know that we need, I'm kind of going out of order because I was going to do this by card, but I really want to do all the trimmer stuff first. And I do know that we need a panel of cardstock that measures 4 inches. Let me look at my notes here. I have notes. So we need it 4 by 5 1/4. So I can go ahead and put this in here and do a 5 1/4 measurement. This is that same Neenah Solar White heavyweight cardstock. Heavyweight is just makes your cards feel so luxe. You know what I mean? So that's 5 1/4, and then I can rotate this and trim it at 4. So that's just basically 1/4 of an inch smaller than a standard A2 size card. This needs to go in pocket number 3 or card number 3. I'm going to make this one card number 3. I don't have them labeled, but what you could do is totally take a Post-it note and just do card 1, 2, 3. Now, the rest of this I can kind of use for my die cutting as we go throughout the class. So this is not a full sheet. So what I might do is just kind of set this aside. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is that for a lot of the trimming, cutting, die cutting today, I am going to be adding some scrapbook.com adhesive to the back of my cardstock and my paper so that it's ready to go. It will be like a sticker when we go to assemble. If you don't have this on hand, you could also use a sheet adhesive. I have the 4-inch wide here. Then if you don't have anything like this on hand, you could either pick it up ahead of time and do your die cutting after, or you can use some liquid glue to adhere the die cuts together during class. It's just, this is kind of a time saver for me. And so I know that I need to add some of this to some colored cardstock or some colored paper before I start trimming. And I also know that I'll be doing quite a bit of die cutting from the white cardstock with the adhesive on the back. Like I said, just to make life easier. You know what I mean? So I'm going to grab my Vacation Smooth cardstock here from scrapbook.com. This color palette is probably a little unexpected if you follow me at all, but I just love this very beautiful palette here. I think these colors are just so gorgeous together. And I wanted to show you the colors that I'll be using. So I do need one of these beige pieces of cardstock. And I'll pull these out. This stack has already been kind of broken into. So it's one of those things where I'm just pulling from what I already have. I didn't bust out a whole new one. So give me just a second. I'm going to make my little Charlie Bear dog stop barking for just a moment because I can hear her outside, and if I can hear her, you might be able to hear her. Okay, we're back. So far I've pulled out my beige and this peachy color. We're going to keep flipping. We're going to actually move past the pink. I know, so crazy. We're going to grab some of this beautiful golden yellow, and it looks almost a little like green on my screen right now, but it is a beautiful golden yellow. And we're going to keep flipping. This is more, this is like a orangey yellow. we're not using that one. We're going to flip past it and we're going to go to the brighter orange color here. So that one, you can see these. And then we're going to need some of this beautiful like turquoisey color and some of this deep, kind of almost a little bit dusty blue. Okay, so we have the colors pulled out that we're going to use. The reason I pulled these out right away is because we're going to like trim some of them, and some of them we're going to die cut. But for the most part, the ones that we're going to trim are these here. And I'm going to set these aside because we'll die cut those in just a moment. I also need to trim a piece of this holographic cardstock. And so the one that I need to trim, you're going to see that there are different kinds. There's like a plain silver, a plain gold, a holographic silver. Look at that. So beautiful. Then there's like this confetti one. It's right behind this holographic plain silver. That's the one we're going to use, but I just want to flip you through this because there's so much potential in this pack right here. You want to add some shine to cards. I mean, this is the way to go. You know what I mean? And so let me just make sure that that's the one that I use, and it definitely is. So it's like this confetti one right here. It's larger confetti. There's kind of more what I would consider like a confetti one in the back too, but it's a smaller confetti. Either one of these totally will work. So these are the ones that I want to trim with some adhesive already on the back. So I'll show you how I'll do this real quick. And we're gonna move through it really fast because we got some work to do, right? So I'm just gonna take, this can be a little cumbersome when the roll is kind of this large, but if you have like a sheet of adhesive, that would work too. I'm just gonna put some on the back of this, and you can actually just tear it or trim it. Yeah, that wasn't beautiful, but it will work for what we need. And I'll just grab my scrapbook.com scissors and just trim that off. I had to go across and just grab these. So I'm just gonna grab this, trim that off. That's totally fine. I don't really know. Let's see, the best way might be to trim it off ahead of time rather than try to do it straight from the roll. And this is really, as I mentioned before, just to kind of save us some time in class. So it's going to make all of our die cuts kind of like stickers where we can peel off the backer and just move on with it. So I'm making strips out of these, and then we'll use the leftovers for some of our die cutting as well. So don't worry about, you know, wasted adhesive or wasted paper or anything like that. So just gonna do this. And if you want to, while you're at it, we're not gonna be trimming the white, but we will be die cutting some white with this on the back. Actually, quite a bit of the white with this on the back. So you can prep a piece of that white cardstock that was kind of a scrap that we set over to the side. You can kind of prep that right now too. So I'll grab that, which is this piece that was left over from our 5 1/4 by 4 inch panel that we cut down, and I'll just place some adhesive on the back of that so that we can move along with our die cutting. Now, not all of the die cutting that we're going to do is going to have adhesive on the back, so don't worry about that, because sometimes when you're die cutting with some adhesive on the back, it can make it a little trickier, but like I said, such a time saver in the end, and I love that. So I'm going to put a couple of strips on here so we have a good portion of this covered with adhesive. And I'll just kind of butt it right up against that previous strip. So there we go. So we have adhesive all over the back of this piece of white cardstock, and we have it on our peach, our kind of what I'm going to call Tuscan yellow, the orange, and the pool color, and then also this holographic cardstock. You know what? I just thought of something, and no, we'll do that as we go. Okay, so let me put that aside, and let's start with our trimming. So I want to trim this to where it's even at the top, and all of it will have some adhesive on it. So I'm going to trim the little bit at the top that didn't have adhesive off. And then I'm going to take this, and this is a weird measurement, I know, but I'm going to trim 3/16 inch strips. Now, here's my 1/8 inch right here. It's the first line on my trimmer. Here's my 1/4 inch. It's right between those two. So I'm just going to line up my paper and trim a strip and set that aside. And then I'm going to move through my colors here and do the same. I'm just going to trim off the top where there's no adhesive. And you can see I don't have adhesive all the way across this one, but it should work for what we're doing. So I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to move on to my orange. I will trim off my part without adhesive. And then we're going to make a lot of little scraps today. But you know why that's nice is because when you're in class, you're not going to have all of like the trash everywhere. So that kind of makes for a nice tidy class as well. So these are all the same width, 3/16, the colored cardstock. So I have 4 things of colored cardstock with adhesive on the back. And then this piece here, which is our holographic cardstock, I'm going to trim off the top real quick that doesn't have adhesive. And for this piece, we're going to cut it at 1/8 inch. So it's the only one that's slightly smaller. So 1/8 inch, and we'll set that aside. We're working on all of card 1 right now, so we don't have to grab our pouches just yet. Okay, bueno. Trimming, I believe, is done. Let me grab my notebook real quick just to look. Yeah, I think so. I think we're done with our trimmer. So I'm just going to set that aside. And this one has, now what I like to do here is just kind of keep my cardstocks that I'm trimming from to the side. We have our A2 cardboard base already created from I'm going to grab another piece of Neenah Solar White. I'm going to trim it in half because it just fits my cardstock a little bit better, or I'm sorry, my die cut machine a little bit better. So these don't have adhesive on the back. So we'll kind of keep those to the side as well. And we're going to start with some die cutting. I'm going to grab my plates here. Now I use a little bit different die cutting sandwich. This isn't necessarily recommended from the manufacturer, but for my Gemini Junior, I use a clear plastic plate, the plate for double-sided dies, and I use that same thing on both sides. And then I just cut into one of my plates for the double-sided. So I'm going to start with this Sunburst die, and I'm going to die cut it from white cardstock. And while I'm at it, because I want to minimize the amount of time that I am running things through, I'm going to grab my nested arches, and I'll show you the ones I'm going to use. I'm going to use 1, 7, and 8 throughout the class. So this is 1, the smallest one, and then I'm going to count out to the 8th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. And then I can grab 7 and set that one aside because I know I'm going to need that. And then I'm going to grab 1 and set that aside. just to make my life a little bit easier. You know what I mean? Oh, you know what? I don't think both of these are going to fit on there. So do I have anything else? Yes, I do, that I can trim out. Okay, let's just do this first. And I'm going to run this through my Gemini Junior. I love this Petal Pink Gemini Junior. And as you're kind of moving through this, got my cup in the way. As you're kind of moving through this, if you want to grab one of the little trays from scrapbook.com to kind of keep the small pieces, you can do that. And got a great cut. Looks like I might need to take my craft knife and just trim that a little bit here. And all of these like little pieces that are falling out, I don't need those. So rather than restart this again, if you have a craft knife and you didn't get a perfect cut, I'm not sure why. I might have been shifted off the plate just a little bit. Then you can kind of just run it along that die cut edge. And I won't it's very tempting to me to give you guys some like spoilers on what we're doing with these things, but I'm trying really hard not to do that in our homework class because I want it all to be a surprise because I have some really fun cards planned. I'm serious. And even if you're not a card maker and you're joining me for this class, we're going to make it so easy for you. And that's part of the reason that I'm doing this homework class with you also, is because I want it to be easy for the scrapbookers and the card makers, the beginners, the advanced, whatever. I want everybody to be able to walk confidently into this class knowing that you're ready to go and that you can do it all. It's just a matter of step by step, right? Okay, so I had to fix that just a little bit, but that's okay. We're done with our Sunburst die. So I'm just going to move that off. And if you wanted to save these rays for something else, you could. I'm going to just kind of toss them here. And bring my plates back in. Then we need to create a couple of the disco ball outlines. Now there's a few disco ball pieces. There's this one here that has like an outer and an inner. There's this one that's more solid. This one cuts all the pieces. So if you wanted to do a die cut inlay, but the two that we're going to use for this card, for card one, are this outline piece and this solid piece. So we're gonna need this die set here again in just a bit, but we're gonna die cut two of these disco ball outlines from the paper that has the adhesive on the back. So this is the white cardstock that has the adhesive on the back. I'm going to grab some mint tape to kind of hold that in place. And we'll run this through. You can hear there's a little more pressure on the machine because we have that adhesive on the back of this cardstock, and it's already a heavyweight cardstock. And I know many of you are probably like, why would you use a heavyweight cardstock for this? Well, without giving too much away, we are going to be using this to layer up and create dimension, which is the easiest way to do it when you have such an intricate die. So I like to use a heavyweight because it creates the dimension faster with fewer layers. And rather than having to glue together several layers, we can just glue together a couple of layers and get more bang for our buck, if that makes sense. So I can tell that that die cut beautifully. I'm going to pop out some of these extra pieces. They have adhesive on the back. You do not need them. can set them aside. And I need a second one of these. So we're gonna move this over and just, you can leave this actually right in that piece of paper too. And with that adhesive on the back, it kind of wants to stick in there anyway. So just leave it there because that's gonna keep your adhesive protected while it sets aside until you go to do class. Now, you'll notice that on the first time, I kind of ran it through with the die face up and then with the die face down. I'm just getting a couple of cuts on this so that I make sure that it cuts through the adhesive and the cardstock itself. So, and I can kind of look at the back and tell that, yes, I got a good cut. Now, as I mentioned before, if we can leave these in there, that's ideal. So, and that one popped out beautifully. So, what I would recommend doing is, because we're going to put these aside with class 1, just trim this down. And that one kind of popped out, but the backer's on the back, so that's good. And then this one I'm going to leave in there and just throw that in my little bin. And we need some arches from some plain white cardstock without adhesive. So we need just one of these. This is arch number 8. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab that mint tape. I love this mint tape because you can use it kind of over and over again. So this is just plain white cardstock. It doesn't have any adhesive on the back. We're also going to die cut that same arch from this beautiful kind of dusty blue cardstock. So I can just pop that out, throw it in my little bin. And I would keep everything in the bin except, number one, not everything, and just stack them up and wait for my class, but I have some larger pieces that don't actually like fit in the bin very well. So I'm gonna just put them in those zipper pouches that I showed you earlier. We're gonna die cut that. Make sure it's in the sandwich, which is what I think happened on the Sunburst. Do you see how my plates are kind of slipping around? So I'm gonna make sure that that's in the sandwich. We're good. Run that through. Okay. Put that aside. And then I'm done with that die. And I'm going to set my papers aside. Okay. I'm going to grab this holographic cardstock again that we put the adhesive on the back. But I'm going to die cut from the part that doesn't have adhesive. It probably doesn't matter. Actually, maybe I'll just die cut it from the part that has adhesive. Either way, this is an easy enough piece to kind of glue down with tape runner and or your artist glue if you need to do that. But I do want to keep it from slipping. So we're going to do that. Hold that in place, run that through. And then I'm grabbing my holographic cardstock again, and I'm going to grab this plain silver piece. I know, crazy when I have all those options in there. That I would grab the plain piece, but that's what we're going to do. You'll see why in the class. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to put just a little tiny bit of that adhesive on the back, because this one I definitely want to have adhesive on the back. So I'll grab this, and I can just do even just like that. Little small amount here, put it on the back, and I'm going to die cut the disco outline again from that, just making sure I have it on the adhesive portion. And I'm going to place that down with some mint tape and run it through my die cut machine. Now, I just saw a little glitch in my camera, but it looks like we're okay still. So I'm gonna pop. You ever do this? This is how I get dies out of my die, or die cuts out of my die in my lazy way. Now, if you wanted to save these pieces to inlay, you totally could. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna kind of swipe them off to the side. And I'm gonna grab this embellishment wand. This is from Pink Fresh Studio because this guy's being a little bit, he's being a little stubborn, and I'm gonna pop him out. Maybe. Okay, there we go. Come on, baby. Oh, I'm trying not to peel off the backer though as I do that, and that backer wanted to peel off. So let's try the tweezers instead. See if we can get that to pop up. Now, if your adhesive backer pops off, I will show you a trick. And mine's going to. So that's fine. I'm going to show you a trick. I'm going to just pull it off with my finger. Try not to touch too much of it. And I might as well pop these little innards out while I have it kind of here. I don't want to touch it too much, but honestly, I think it's going to adhere just fine. We could also reinforce it with a little bit of liquid glue if we have to, but I have this, and now my adhesive is exposed on the back, and that's, I mean, not ideal. I could either try to put it back on this adhesive, or what I like to do is I like to save the backer to my adhesive if I ever pull it off, and then I have like just that, and I'll just stick it on an extra backer. So whenever you pull the backer off of those large pieces of double-sided tape, stick it aside, because you can use it to hold on to things that have adhesive onto the back if you're not ready to quite use them yet. It's a great way to kind of store die cuts that already have the sticky on them. So I'm just kind of cleaning up. There is one thing that I did not show in the intro that I'm looking for here that I would like to cut ahead of time. Now, completely optional on this part, I'll be honest. We're going to use this to kind of create some dimension. So if that's not your thing, then no problem. But I'm going to use these Howdy sentiments in class. This is a stamp set, and then there's the coordinating die set. If you want to, if you're into it, if you're not into it, you can skip this part. Then go ahead and die cut like maybe 3 layers of this. This is just to build dimension. You can build dimension with foam adhesive. So if you're more into that, then go ahead and do it. But I love the way a stacked up die cut looks. I think it's just, it makes it like such a statement piece on your finished card project. So I just wanted to show you that option as well. So I'm just going to cut 3 of these, and then we're almost done with card number 1's homework. And I'm not sure that card number 2 has as much homework. So don't worry, we're not going to be here all day long. So do you believe me? I don't know if you believe me or not. That's okay. So this is card 1. I have 1 more, and then we're going to slide all of these pieces into our pouch for card number 1, including those little strips. And we will be ready to create come class day. I love my Gemini Junior. It cuts so well. And this petal pink is just perfection. So all these pieces go right into my little zipper pouch. And all of these little strips that we cut, don't forget those. Stick those in my zipper pouch. And now card 1 prep is done. So we'll set that aside. Oh, my dogs are upset about something. Okay, now we're keeping all our scraps because we may we may be able to use them. Okay, card number 2. Let's move on. I'm also using one of these little trays off to the side to hold on to my dies as I kind of work through all of this. Card number 2, we have our card base already created. I do need 2 pieces from, this is number 7 arch. So remember we counted from 1 up into 8. So it's a little bit smaller than the last one. I need 2 of these from white cardstock. So we'll do those real quick. And kind of as that's running through, I'm looking ahead to what we need. We need a peach piece without adhesive. So we'll cut on the other side of this that we added adhesive to already. So, and it's going to be that same size. So there's one. You're probably like, Carissa, why? I will say that these white pieces right here are optional. The peach piece, not quite. And then I'm going to grab this. Let's see, this and this piece here out of the peach. I have a little exposed adhesive right here, so might just take another piece of that backer that I kind of keep to the side just so that it doesn't, you know, stick to my plate. Place this here using that same piece of mint tape. It's gonna last me all prep period. Okay, I'm making sure that this is between the plates because I can see where it's kind of trying to slide out. And run that through. And then I have my Yeehaw here. I'm gonna grab both the outline and the word itself. And I'm gonna die cut those. Once again, I think I slid off the cutting sandwich. This is real life crafting, people. Sometimes things happen like that. Okay. I need we're done with this particular die, that arch. We're gonna go to our Yeehaw. We're gonna cut 1 out of plain white cardstock. So we do not need adhesive on the back. So we'll just do this, and we're gonna do 2 pieces at once. We're gonna do this Yeehaw out of this plain white cardstock, and then we're gonna grab our piece of this really beautiful turquoise cardstock, and we're gonna do the word die out of that. And we'll also do another one of those word dies out of plain white. So I guess we could have just done a bigger piece of plain white. So here we go, making sure everything's in the sandwich as it's sliding around on me today. Oh, that cut nicely. And this is ready to go in there. I'll just trim this out here real quick. And I'm gonna just throw it in my little tray here. And I will die cut this Yeehaw word. I want this one though to have adhesive on the back. So let me find my piece with adhesive, and that's this one. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to just trim it right here. And then I can grab a piece that doesn't have adhesive. We just need scraps here. And I need this Howdy die set here. And I'm gonna find the one that says you had me at Howdy. And it's this one right here. And I'll just die cut that. Oh, I just realized that before we run this through, we're gonna do our hat too. So from this disco set here, I have the hat base here. I'm gonna set that, I'm gonna use that next. But this hat outline, I'm gonna cut that twice out of white cardstock as well. So I think that's it, yeah. So we'll run this through. I just dropped something on the floor and I hope my dogs don't eat it. Does anybody else have dogs out there that just like to come in your craft room and eat all your things? I know I can't be the only one. Okay, I'm just checking my cut on that because like I said, once again, we're going through not only a heavyweight cardstock, but an adhesive as well. And it looks like I got a good cut on those. So I'm going to grab my hat outline again and run that through one more time. And I'll just push that up because then we can take our beige cardstock that we pulled out earlier. This does not have adhesive on the back, but if it does, it won't hurt it. Just makes your life easier in the long run. I like to do it on those really intricate pieces because I feel like, you know, it makes it easy. So I have the hat outline and the hat base right here. One on white with adhesive backed and one on beige. So let's see. I'm just going over my list to make sure we have everything so we're all ready. Yeah, I think this is all for card number 2. Okay. We'll just trim this out again. It doesn't have to be pretty because we're going to be pulling these off like stickers for class. Okay, so I'll do that and stick those there. And then I have my hat outline. We'll put that there. Toss that. Okay, so that is card number 2. I'm going to take all my pieces here and we will be using these dies in class as well for a couple of things that we're going to die cut, but we're doing some of the like easier layering die cut right now ahead of time. So card number 2, homework, check. Okay, let's go to card number 3. We have our A2 base done and we have our panel done. We've done that already. We need this first size of this arch, this tiny one here. We need that die cut twice out of this yellow cardstock. I am not going to cut it with the adhesive on the back. So I'm just going to position that there and hold it in place. And let me just see, is there something we could run through at the same time? Oh yes, we can take from, let me see, I think the die set I need fell on the ground. So let's grab that real quick. Nope, that's not it. This is why I like doing these things ahead of time because when we go to put them together in class, I'm not going to be like, where did that die go? Okay, we can take this Howdy word. Now, I will tell you that we only need one of the letters from this. We need the W, but I would prefer it be out of this adhesive backed. So I'm going to take that and just put that at the bottom where the adhesive is. So, and run that through at the same time. That way we get, you know, multiple things done in one pass. Well, shoot, I just dropped something. I just feel like that was sliding off of my die cut sandwich. Now I have to go die finding. Okay. I don't always craft sitting down, but for some of these events, I find it a little bit easier because, you know, they take a little bit of time. Let's do that. I try, especially if I'm doing just straight prep work, I try to clean up as much as possible as I go. So there's one of those. We need a second one. Let's check our Howdy. I think it cut all the way through. We'll just leave it there and run it through again. It won't hurt it. Okay, we have our 2 yellow arches, those small ones. I'm going to show you a fun way to use those. We have our yellow Howdy, which our letters came out, and we can just pop those out. If you want to, I just might take a piece of mint tape to kind of hold all these together. I think it will grab these out of the die and just kind of hold them for me. Oh, maybe not, because of that, you know, like non-stick backer on the back of the adhesive. So let's just pop these out. You know what? I don't have the patience for this today. It's like, too bad, lady. I'm going to make you have the patience. You know what? Top sip. Okay. Now, if some of you have a better way of getting these out with the adhesive on the back, let me know. Now you can, we're only going to use the W for, and now I wish I would have just trimmed off a little piece of that adhesive paper and just covered the back of the W with the die. Because now I'm just fussing with all these. We're going to do the slap method here. Oh, perfect. Now this one, I actually might keep my prep work in that tray because there are like the little pieces in this one, like these little letters. I'm just using my finger to pull out the little dots from the die so that I get a good cut the next time. Then I can just sprinkle them on the floor. Okay. Oh, we need sparkles. Okay, let's finish our Howdy before we move on to that. So we do need a Howdy from white, the full word. Just gonna do this because I don't want to, hoping it will just stay in my cardstock this time. Make my life a little easier. But this does have adhesive on the back on the white. Hallelujah, it stayed in. Okay. let's finish the Howdy before we do this. I am on this one. I'm going to do something. This is just going to make our lives easier in class, but I'm looking for a piece of white cardstock that doesn't have adhesive on the back. This one will work just fine. I'm going to use this as a guide in the class, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But I'm just going to stick it on here. This is plain white cardstock, no adhesive on the back. And then I'm going to start working my way through these colors that we're going to use for the word Howdy. So I only need like single letters. So I'm taking the part that has the adhesive on the back and I'm cutting just little squares so that I can not have to do what I did with the yellow here. I made a mistake there. I mean, I'm just going to admit it. So this is for the H. The peach is for the H. The O is going to be this brighter orange. The W we already did. The D is going to be from this kind of pool color. So we'll grab another piece of mint tape and just hold that D and put that on the back of the D right there. So then we can do a couple letters at once. Get more bang for our buck. And I hope this is making it really easy for you all to follow along real time. I think we're going to be done in under an hour with all of our prep. And that's pretty amazing. So we do have a little bit of trimming to do. So I told you to put away your trimmer and I lied. So that's okay. You'll forgive me, right? We are done with that outline. We have our H and our D. These, this lighter weight cardstock, I'm noticing loves to not stay in it. Oh, the H did. The D stuck in the die. So I'm just gonna see if I can smack it out, which I did. Okay. Now we need the O from this orange color. And we need the Y from this beautiful, I don't even know what to call it. It's not navy. If you have a name for that color of blue, let me know. And I have a little scrap of this adhesive from where I tore it off earlier over to the side of my desk. And I'm just going to put this behind and I'm going to trim the Y with that. So I like to continue to cut into the same plate on my sandwich until I can't anymore. So there is our Y. That one just came right off of the backer and everything. So we'll use our little trick there. And our O. Now, if you wanted to, like you could cut the entire word Howdy from each of these colors, but I'm trying to preserve the cardstock as much as possible so that you have enough to make plenty of these. I love that this just fell on the floor again. Okay, set that aside. And let's sit back. I gotta like crawl up in my chair. Okay, so we're done with the Howdy word. We've got all our letters. We've got that. Okay, here's where we need to grab our disco ball outline again. So yes, we've used it before. We're going to use it on 2 cards in this class because it's a disco party. obviously. This time we're going to use it, we're going to die cut it from a different holographic cardstock. So if you just grab your holographic cardstock again, and we're going to go to this third one in the thing. So there's the plain silver, the plain gold, and then there's this plain holographic silver. Grab that. We're going to add some adhesive to the back. This will be our last adhesive adding of the day. So we'll just put that right on the back. And I'll trim off any on the outside, just so I don't get any on my cutting plates. And we're going to use the disco ball outline. So we have that here. And I'll use my mint tape that I've been using to hold that in place. And then on this disco set, there is these little sparkles here. I have little dots from those letters on my nails. We're going to cut 3 of each, the small and the large. You want it to be on the adhesive backed piece just to make it a little easier. And we'll run this through, and then we'll reposition and run those through again with just the sparkles. We just need 1 piece of that disco ball and 3 of each of the sparkles. So do that real quick. And we're just going to trim a couple little things after that, and then we'll be done with our homework. Maybe not quite under an hour, but it'll be close. Just going to throw that in there real quick. Pop up my sparkle dies, move them over, hold them in place so that they don't mess up my previously die cut sparkles. And I'm just kind of making sure it's in my sandwich again. Now, if you're just running them through on a machine like I am, you can grab your scrapbook.com acetate and your mixed metals glitter paper and grab those, because we're just going to trim a couple little pieces from those. And then we'll be done with card 3 prep. Okay, that one needs to go to the side because it decided to come out of the cardstock. The other ones are being haved. Is that how you say it? I know you say behave, but do you say being haved? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to grab my trimmer because this is the last. Can you believe it? We're almost done. Last of the die cutting. I can't wait for this class, you guys. We're going to have so much fun. We are creating the most adorable cards. I promise you're going to love them. And we're creating some more. We're doing, well, I don't want to spoil it. So it's very hard for me to not spoil things. If you want surprises to take place, just don't have me around, okay? I'm gonna set my plates off to the side because I'm done with those. Now I need a piece of acetate that's about 3 7/8 by 2.5. So I'm gonna grab one of these, and I'm gonna go, this is gonna be hard to see on camera, but I'm gonna go to the 4 and then just drop it back 1/8 of an inch. 3 7/8 by 2.5-ish. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. And you know what? I might just put both of those in there just in case I lose one, because they're hard to see. And then, like, you know, class comes and I'm like, where'd it go? Look at these beautiful glitters. These are fabulous. They're like velvety. They don't shed, but we're going to go to the silver color. I'm going to grab a piece of that, and I'm going to cut this piece to about the same. So about 3 7/8 by 2.5. So go to the 4-inch and then just drop it back 1/8, and then to about 2.5 inches. That seems small. I measured that. Hopefully it's right. There we go. So that's card 3 for our class prep. I'm gonna stick it. I'm just gonna stick actually this entire little tray right in there and set that to the side. And there we have it. We are done. The dogs were decent. They didn't bark too much. But we're done with all of our disco party class prep. And I can't wait to see you at SBC Fest. We're going to have so much fun. It's going to be a party. There's going to be some shine, as I'm sure you could tell. So I will meet you there. Thanks for joining me today for this prep video. I will have links to everything that I'm using in my class in the description. So if you're looking for something and you need help finding it on the scrapbook.com website, I gotcha, girl or guy. I gotcha. So I can't wait to see you there. Once again, I'm Carissa Wiley from sprinkledwithglitter.com. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.